What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined by my dad, Sean, and today, a reactions to the classics. We are up to 2001 in our top 10 albums by year draft, and man, it's been a fun and educational journey, and this year is no different. Got some heavy hitters in this year as well.
We do, Trey. We made it through the 90s, some good stuff, but 98, 99 weren't real strong for either one of us. 2000 was fantastic. If you haven't checked that out, check it out after this video. And 2001, I'm going to say, is also pretty darn good. So if you don't know how this works, this year I get first pick, which I'm so glad. I'll expand on that when I get to that first pick. Trey's got 2 and 3. I got 4 and 5. We alternate every year. I need you guys to pay attention, though. I need you to tell us who won. And also, share with us your top 5 or top 10 albums from the year, if you so wish. And if you're a patron, you can vote, remember, on which one of these albums gets nominated for a listening party on YouTube that we do once a month. And if you're not a patron, check out the Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. The patrons make this thing go. Trey, you ready for me to kick this off?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, there was one album this year. The best album I'd heard in a while through the yearly drafts, Trey. I'm going with No More Shall We Part, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Would have been on my list.
11 studio album, just unbelievable. Came after a 4-year gap following the much acclaimed The Boatman's Call. Nick is on either mine or your list every single year. This one is interesting because he had to overcome heavy heroin and alcohol addiction before recording the album. It showcases the talents of the Bad Seeds because it has a lot of elaborate instrumental sections. His lyrics are less obscure than usual, far less, and he sings in a wider vocal range, reaching alto on several tracks. Highlights, as I sat sadly by her side, Hallelujah, not that one, guys. Love Letter. It's 67 minutes, but it doesn't seem like it. Heavy keyboard or piano driven on this album, but just tremendous.
Yeah, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds just continue to rise up in my just
so good
estimation as we go through these. So many fantastic records, dating all the way back to the 80s.
So varied. So varied, keeps it interesting.
So, and I know that he has some more in this decade.
Yes,
that
he
are
does.
Really
2003 is the next one. It's on my list.
So, looking forward to that. I like that pick. I'm going with Bjork's Vespertine, my favorite record by her. Her 4th album. And shows her leaning in more to that electronica art pop sound than maybe we had on Homogenic, which I also had on my list for that year. Gorgeous strings on this. It's an album focused on love, one that gets better, I think, the more you listen, which I think is true for a lot of Bjork's work. Undo is her best song, in my opinion, maybe a hot take, but It's Not Up to You, Hidden Place, and Unison are all classics. Pretty concise record as well, and Bjork's vocals are just on point. So
yeah, I listened to this because I knew it was heavily acclaimed. I thought it was fine. No, I'll be honest with you guys. Don't kill me in the comments too much. I just don't get Bjork.
Yeah, I know you're not.
It's fine. You might have hit the nail on the head. That you said repeated listens reward you, and I get that's what's kind of hard with what we're doing here because I listened to over 30 albums for this year. So repeated listens isn't exactly possible, but good choice.
No, and next up we're going to one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. We have Jay-Z's The Blueprint, his 6th album, debuted at 1, stayed there for 3 weeks. It was unfortunately released September 11th of this year.
I do remember that.
But it was the first 21st century album preserved by the Library of Congress. This really shows Jay really on fire, not only with his raps, but the production on this is on fire. We have Just Blaze and then a guy by the name of Kanye West contributing to that.
A guy that may appear a lot in this century.
To that soul-based production, man. Some of his best songs, it's not bogged down by features. The only feature you have on here is with Eminem on the great track Renegade. You have Takeover, his diss to Nas, which uses a Door sample, which is fantastic. Is Heart of the City, one of his best songs, is Ahova up here. You Don't Know and Song Cry are all great. I think this is one of the first albums I'd show someone who isn't into hip-hop to get them in just because the samples are so great.
Yeah, I thought it's a really good album. It would have made my honorable mention, but I knew you'd have it up here. My number 2 pick, the debut from The Strokes.
This will be a lot of people's number 1.
Is this it? Man, it's good. They wanted to capture a simple sound that was not significantly enhanced in the studio, and it is a welcome listen when you listen to all these other albums. They molded compositions largely through live takes during recording sessions, while songwriter and lead singer, of course, Julian Casablancas, continued to detail the lives and relationships of urban youth. 33 in the U.S., 2 in the U.K., though. Metacritic, 91 out of 100. That's one of the highest scores you will see in a yearly basis on Metacritic. Named the best album of 2001 by Billboard, Entertainment Weekly, NME, and Time. Sunday's the highlight, but man, there's a lot of good songs straight. And it's 11 songs and only 36 minutes. So
bits of stand out at this point. In
guarantee you, brother, where everything is an hour and pounding even more than that. My third pick, Angels of Light, their album How I Loved You, their second studio album. They're an American folk rock band produced by band leader Michael Gira.
Oh, interesting. So of Swans fame.
Of Swans fame. He had his own record label, Young God Records. That's some confidence right there. That's who they released it. Features contributions from ex-Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds guitarist Kid Congo Powers. NME stated, quote, like a dark meeting place for a trice between Nick Cave and Sonic Youth, they take a funeral subject matter, like in the song My Suicide, and expand it over beautifully arranged and very huge spaces of time. I just thought that was a great quote to kind of tell you. It's a darker album. Pop Matters also wrote, Leonard Cohen once recorded a rather dark album called Songs of Love and Hate. We both love that album. The Angels of Light's How I Loved You makes that record sound like a children's birthday party. So I thought those quotes were better than I could describe it, but just be forewarned. You know.
Well, I know with Michael and his Swans work is not
and I don't really like that. I don't usually like Swans, right? But this was great.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. That'll be one I'll definitely have to put on my list of stuff to check out. Now we're going to another very seminal record. We have Daft Punk's Discovery, my third pick. Their second album from, of course, the legendary electronic duo. Went to 2 in the UK, sold 3 million. This is just simply one of the most fun albums you're ever going to hear. And I think even if you don't, think you know much Daft Punk, I think once you start listening to these, you'll be like, oh, I recognize this song, that song. One More Time, of course, one of their most famous tunes. Always a great jam. Aerodynamic, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, which of course Kanye would sample for Stronger in just a handful of years. Face to Face, all their highlights, man. Just really just fun, enjoyable album, and definitely a classic of its genre that you gotta spin if you haven't already. And kind of staying in a little bit of the electronic mode, we're going to Radiohead's Amnesiac as my fourth pick. This is, of course, the leftovers from those Kid A sessions. Their fifth record went to 1 in the UK, 2 here in the States. Packed Like Sardines in a Crushed Tin Can's one of my favorites, kind of a cousin of Idiotech, which of course was on Kid A. Pyramid Song, one of their more, I think, intricate records as well. And here you see, I think, Johnny Greenwood continue to step out as he does a lot of the string arrangements and, kind of highlights the musical scores that he would do for movies down the line. Knives Out is one of the best as well, and Life in a Glass House has that clarinet solo brass section. So again, showing Radiohead expanding their palette of instruments in here. Not as good as Kid A, but still, I think a really strong effort.
Yeah, and I mentioned on last year's countdown, but in case you didn't watch it, I listened to this album too. I just wasn't feeling it. I felt Kid A more. I think I give this a 2.5 out of 5. I just don't feel it.
No,
man. And I love Radiohead. Yeah. The highs are very high, but I don't get it. But I know everyone else does. This album is so well acclaimed, just like Kid A is. So I'm sure many will be happy you picked it. Now we're going to go to Built to Spill, their fifth studio album, Ancient Melodies of the Future. Perfect for now, and keep it like a secret trayer on our 97 and 99 list. So good. Doug March firing on all cylinders yet again. 10 songs, under 40 minutes. That doesn't mean you're going to make my list, right? But that's 2 of them that are that way. Strange, Happiness are my faves, but it is crazy consistent like the other Built to Spills that I have heard. And then my last pick, and there were a lot of them here, man. I went back and forth on this, but I ended up going with My Morning Jacket at Dawn, their second studio album, produced by the group frontman Jim James. It's an interesting story. Turning point for the band. They go more ambitious song lengths, a little more eclectic. Like its predecessor, the group recorded the album at his extended family's soybean farm in rural Kentucky. He recorded his vocals in an abandoned grain silo to take advantage of its natural reverb. Once you know that and you hear it, like, oh, that's because it's like got an interesting texture.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean that's not usually the best setting you'd think for music, but
no, I'm like, hey. So he professed a love for atmospheric, quote. He said, huge open sounds such as vocals cut far away from the mic in a big room. He pointed to the Stones' Exile on Main Street, John Bonham's drum work on the Zepp albums. Critics described it as, quote, a loose, sprawling collection of folk rock songs that harken back to the glory days of classic rock. I thought that was interesting. Folk maybe in content, not necessarily and sound. And I just want to point out, it's 14 songs, 73 minutes. It wasn't discriminating.
Yeah.
Title track and Honest Man are the highlights for me.
Well, that's I'm familiar with the record Z, which comes in the latter part of this decade, but haven't heard that one, so have to go back to that. There were a lot in contention as well for my last pick, but I wanted to vary the list up a little, and I'm going with the self-titled record from Aaliyah. Her third album went to 2 in the States initially. The label wanted a high charting single, so they ended up shooting a video for one of the best songs on here, Rock the Boat, just so catchy. And this, though, unfortunately takes a tragic turn, because on the way back from shooting that video, Aaliyah and 8 others passed away as the plane crashed. After her death, it then topped the chart. It's sold 13 million, and quite varied in sound, again kind of pointing to that R&B, soul, dance, pop, just a unique blend of tracks. Some great production on here as well from Timberland, who was all over the scene kind of in this period, and I think she just has a great voice and a charisma about her. More Than a Woman, Those Were the Days, and What If are some other highlights as well.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously I remember when this happened, and Aaliyah this was the album, not just because she passed away, but that she was headed for superstardom, man, and just cut short way too soon. My honorable mentions, the album that I had at 5 and then I moved it. Maybe I should have. Southern Rock Opera.
This
Drive
was
by
in
Truckers
for me as
freaking
well.
albums along. It's absolutely tremendous. Then I got Sparkle Horse. They were on a previous list of mine making the top 5, but this time they don't quite make it with It's a Wonderful Life. A mainstay for me, the Red House Painters, Old Raymond. Things We Lost in the Fire by Low. Oh Inverted World by the Shins. Insignificance by Jim O'Rourke. Got a reaction.
Great
to that.
songwriters coming in
Field
here.
Songs by Mark Lanigan. A totally different album from what I just expected to hear with Mark Lanigan. And Time, in parentheses, The Revelator by Jillian Welsh, and Lateralis by Tool.
No, some big ones in there. White Blood Cells by the White Stripes, fantastic. Probably going to be appearing on some list in here. Going a little hip hop, we have Cannibal Ox's The Cold Vein, just a bit of an abstract experimental hip hop that I had never heard, but thought was great. Converge's Jane Doe, kind of getting a little metalcore action. Bob Dylan's Love and Theft, I think a fantastic late career record from Mr. Dylan right there. And then Live to Experience, the Texas Jerusalem Crossroads.
Gotta say, I haven't heard of them.
Dude, it has one of the worst album covers you're gonna see. Just very kind of low rent, but
probably have no budget, my man.
It's like a shoegazy Christian type of record, and just some fantastic instrumentals on there. Kind of blended, as somebody from Texas, it kind of and a Christian myself, I was like, oh, this is a unique little record, and
you probably don't have to worry about anybody having the same name.
No, exactly. Opeth's Blackwater Park.
A lot of people have that in the top 5 if they know them.
Ryan Adams' Gold, System of a Down's Toxicity, one of the bigger selling records of the year, and then Silver Jew's Bright Flight, kind of rounding off my honorable mentions. I think whenever, again, just like 2000, Dad, you look so strong in a lot of different genres as well. I think we're seeing. So after a bit of a lull in our opinions in the later part of the 90s, 2000 starting off pretty good in my opinion, and of course we want to hear from you. Who do you think won from our list, as well as let us know your favorites from the year 2001, and next week we'll be back 2002, so looking forward to that one. But until next time, y'all, thanks so much for watching, happy listening, and we will see you.